Welcome to Alley Chats. My name is Rob, and today I'm super excited about this guest. I've got Alec Worley. Alec, this is awesome. I am super excited to have you here. Can you tell us about yourself?
Yes, I am Alec Worley. I'm really pleased to be here. Thanks for having me on. I'm from South London. I've been creative writing professionally for about 20 years now here in the UK. I write comic books as well as prose fiction, audio dramas. I've done Star Wars stories, comics for the European market, along with Troll Hunters, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I'm probably best known for the work that I did on the legendary British anthology comic 2000 AD, The Home of Judge Dredd, and more recently for the work I've done on Games Workshop's Warhammer universe. But I'm really excited this year because I've got my first US comics work out for Storm King Comics, which is really cool. That should be out in Halloween this year, hopefully, as long as the pandemic doesn't destroy everything in the known universe before then.
What's your background? I was reading your bio, and you kind of got here a little differently than some of the others. How did you end up doing this?
It was a weird one. I always wanted to do something. I always wanted to be creative. Initially I wanted to be a filmmaker, and then kind of realised I couldn't afford to go to film school. And then I ended up a couple of years on the dole after I left school. I didn't go to university, so I'm completely self-taught, which I'm quite proud of. And then I ended up as a movie projectionist back in the days when you were handling 35mm film, and you were stuck in this little dungeon at the top of the cinema, splicing movies together and putting them on the screen for people. And then it's a job that doesn't exist now because it's all on digital. And then from then I kind of became a movie journalist, among other things. And I did a book on fantasy cinema called Empires of the Imagination. I got the softback copies of that the other day. It was about 16 years old, which I couldn't quite believe. And from then on, I wanted to do more creative work. I wanted to do comics. I remember sitting down. I was planning out an article for a making of the first Terminator movie, and I was reading about some research piece on how Cameron came up with the idea and put it all together and was writing the script. And I just had this kind of moment where I was like, I want to be doing that. I don't want to be writing about other people's movies and stories. So from then on, I started submitting stories to 2000 AD, the little 5-page Future Shocks. And I kind of did my apprenticeship then, and then graduated onto Judge Dredd and other stuff. I did some original stories for them. And since then, I've done a fair bit for 2000 AD. I've done bits on Robo Hunter. I did a kids version of Strontium Dog last couple of years ago. And and then it's just been just kind of going on and spreading out like a funny enough, like a virus from different publishers doing different things to different people. That's how I got to do what I've been doing, and that's for about the last 20 years. And about the last 5 years, I've really started doing prose and audio stuff, which has been pretty cool.
So the audio projects you've been doing, what have you been working on?
I've got a new one out on Monday, actually. This is all for so Games Workshop have their publishing wing is called the Black Library, and you've got the two kind of universes. You've got Warhammer 40,000, which is all set in the grim, dark, far future, and then you've got Age of Sigmar, which is their new version of fantasy. And I've done three audio dramas for them now. I did 2 in their Warhammer horror line, one called Perdition's Flame and another one called Watcher in the Rain, which have got awesome covers, and I wish I could remember the name of the artist, but they're amazing. They're on my website. Go look at them there. Yeah,
you know what? Give that website right up front here, because I know I want to go to it immediately after talking to you.
It's alecworley.com. It's ALECWORLEY.com. And and then I've got a new one out on Monday called Broken Saints, which is grimdark space nuns. And
that name alone has me hooked. I'm already in.
Again, it's got some great cover artwork for that, but that's out on Monday. I think it's out on pre-order now, but it's out on it's out for downloading on Monday. That's what I've been doing on the audio stuff. Writing audio has been terrific, really, because it's not too dissimilar from comics. It's almost like writing comics for the comics for the blind almost, where you just if you're not writing sound cues, then nothing actually exists, and you've got to kind of get your head around this new medium. But I was really interested in doing some horror stuff for them with the first one that I pitched to them, because I just thought there's things that you can do that you can more closely approximate the kind of suspense and creepy stuff that you can get across in prose horror. You know, there's things that you can do with that in the audio setting. So yeah, those are all good. They all seem to have been sort of fairly well received. And so I've got another one coming out for them soon. Again, not too sure at the moment, but the fourth one should be coming out quite soon.
Now, what's the you've got a book coming out from Storm King. What book is it, and can you give us a little insight into what it's about?
Well, it's a 13-page one shot. It's for this year's Tales for a Halloween Night, which is you can go check that out on Comixology. It's like an annual anthology that it kind of reads like a who's who of horror. You've got kind of John Carpenter, of course, but then you've got people like Steve Niles and David J. Shaw, and you've got this whole. It's a really good anthology because you've got all this kind of range of diverse talent from movies and TV and books, and all different people bringing in different kinds of stories. But it's like a yearly horror anthology, and the story I've got is called Cold, and it's about a woman who returns to remote rural Ireland during the winter to help her emotionally unstable mother, who says that she's being threatened by something in the woods nearby. And the great thing about working with 13 pages is it's so much more room for a single story than you get when you're working on 2000 AD, because with 2000 AD you're working on like 5 pages, which is next to no space at all. And I always find the toughest kind of story to write for 2000 AD is anything involving suspense or atmosphere. Because when you're doing suspense, you need those kind of aspect-to-aspect panels that will generate your atmosphere and so on. And that's kind of tough, if not impossible, when you're working with 5 pages. And I wanted to do something for Storm King. I wanted to do something that was kind of ghostly, and it was more about suggestion and spookiness, kind of like The Fog or The Shining, more than outright gore. I love gore, but kind of gore is kind of much more about display, and I kind of wanted something more akin to kind of drawing you in. And it's got art by a guy called Ben Wilshire. He's one of the key Judge Dredd artists of the last 10 years, I'd say. Letters by Janice Chang, edited by Sandy King, and I've got to give a shout out as well to their publishing coordinator, Sean Sobzak. And Sandy and Sean are just two of the nicest, most on-point people you could possibly hope to work with. They really know their horror, and they really want to take time to make the best stories possible. I know this sounds like I'm kissing butt. I'm really not. I've been doing this for 20 years. I really not. I know people when I work with them, and I think that kind of care and attention really shows in the output that Storm King put out. I think they've got beside the annual anthology, the Halloween Night, they've got some longer form anthology series called Tales of Science Fiction, where they do one story over several single issues. I'm currently reading one called Redhead by Dwayne Swazinski, I think it is. And they've also got a YA banner out as well. I think Steve Niles has written a teen werewolf story I've got on my reading at the moment. But yeah, so that's it's, like I say, it's my first time in however long that I've actually got some American work. So I'm really, really, really pleased to be really looking forward to seeing that come out, and just so pleased to be working with Storm King, because they're just the great people to be working for.
Fantastic. So Alec, this is your dream convention. Who would you be most excited to meet?
Oh man. Probably. Oh gosh. Can we come back to that? I'm trying to think now. Oh my gosh.
I can come back to it if you want.
Yeah, come back to me. I'm floundering there.
Okay. I want an answer to it though. So with so many cons canceling and postponing, I mean, this is something that we're dealing. It's the reason that this show started. What is the best way that people can support you and or other creators right now?
Well, obviously, like first things first, stay at home, flatten the curve, save lives. Even though you may be sat at home on your ass watching Netflix all day, you know, you're still saving lives and helping people. So we just need to help each other out, look after each other in that respect. I think secondly, we need to support the local comic shops and just preserve the direct market. I think you probably reach out to your local store, see what you can do, see where they're directing you. I know I'm pretty sure there's somebody called Mad Cave Studios, I think, who set up a GoFundMe. There's other initiatives that have been talked about on helping comic shops in that respect. So kind of see what you can do in that way. And if you can't, then just go on Comixology or the 2000 AD app and just dig out some back issues. Every bit helps there, I guess. That's certainly what I've been doing. I've actually stopped buying physical issues a little while ago because I just don't have room in my place to hold them anymore. I've got long boxes upon long boxes upon long boxes. So yeah, I've had to just go digital from here on in. So I've been spending an obscene amount of money on back issues at the moment. The Marvel Conan I am loving at the moment. Absolutely, the Jason Aaron Conan is what I'm reading at the moment, and it's blowing my mind. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, the Alfredo Alcala stuff from back then is really, really astounding artwork too. If you want to really dig back into that.
Yeah, the Savage Sword stuff and the old 70s Marvel, old 70s Conan is
it's crazy good.
Absolutely brilliant. Yeah.
So, do you have any crowdfunding projects going or anything you're involved with?
No, I'm afraid. You know what? I wouldn't even know where to start with that kind of stuff. The people I tend to work for tend to be just kind of directly with the publishers. So it's mainly 2000 AD, Black Library, and pretty much anyone that will have me. So yeah, I'm not quite sure how I would even go about that, but. I think the thing is, it seems to be such. And again, I mean, who knows where we're going to be once we come out of the pandemic? What the market's going to look like, and what Tasting Stories is going to look like, and how much Kickstarters and crowdfunding is going to be a part of that. Will be interesting to see. But no real plans in that arena at the moment.
So, what's the best place for people to check out your work? Is it just your website, or what do you think?
My Instagram, I gave up Facebook years ago, and I just couldn't quite get on with Twitter. So I'm down to Instagram now, which is probably the best place to catch up with me. So that's Mr. Alec Worley on Instagram. Either that or my website, which I try and keep updated as much as possible. I've got a few blogs on how to write blogs, or rather how I write blogs on there that seem to have been quite popular. I've done one on how to write twist endings, and I did another one about kind of how I broke into comics, and again that seems to have proved quite popular because I've got quite a nuts and bolts approach to how comics work and how the industry works and stuff. Again, how relevant this will be once we're out of this, I don't know, but a lot of people seem to have liked the blogs that I've put up there. But yeah, the website's got pretty much everything that I've ever done or worked on, if only so I can remember myself what I've worked on. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Somebody's got to curate it, right?
So, yeah, exactly.
So where do people get in touch with you?
Again, so there's a contact page on the website. And
that goes directly to you?
Yeah, that'll just go straight to me or my Instagram as well. Just jump in, call out. Yeah, that's probably the best play. It's always the frustrating thing with announcing stuff is because I don't want to be one of these guys that's just kind of spamming everyone with my stuff. I'm the worst self-promoter ever. I'm always really reticent to bang on about what I'm working on because I just feel like, yeah, whatever, shut up. I'd rather just post something silly. But yeah, I need to do a little bit more of that, I think. But yeah, now and then I might tell people what I'm working on or what I've done. But yeah, that'll usually be on my Instagram.
So I'm going back to that question.
Mm-hmm.
This is your dream con. Who are you most excited to meet?
Probably Garth Ennis, if I'm honest. Garth Ennis was the one that I remember in the whole of the 90s. I was working at the Odeon Haymarket in London, which is cinema that was about sort of 4 stories below ground. And in between shows, I would just be reading Preacher and I'd be reading Hitman. And I was a big Vertigo fan at the time. And Ennis was kind of the guy who would write stories that you couldn't turn the pages fast enough. I remember reading the second arc on Preacher and was just, it completely blew my mind. And I remember taking apart every single interview I could get of Ennis. So I'd be reading it, trying to glean little bits of information on how he worked stuff out, how he did dialogue, how he worked out voices and accents and stuff like that. And to this day, I still think he's fantastic. And although I never know what to say to people when I meet famous people. I'm just kind of like, I don't know. You're awesome. Apart from that, which I'm sure you hear every day. I never quite know what to say to people. What do you say when you meet someone famous?
You know what? I'm the worst too. I do meet a lot of famous people, but usually, like, I don't ask for autographs, or I don't. I feel awkward. I met Timothy Zahn, and
oh wow,
that was my reaction. But I walked up and I said, I just want to say I think you're amazing, and thank you for everything you've done. And he looked at me, he was like, "You don't want something signed?" I said, "No."
It's that weird thing, isn't it? You're trying to kind of distill what's probably 30 or however many years of experiences that one person has given to you. You want to distill that into one. You're trying to kind of communicate that into one sentence that just kind of comes out as this little bubble of, "Oh, I think you're awesome."
Yeah, my thing is I just try to say thank you. You know, thank you. You're so gifted, and you've made my life better. Thank you. And that's about it. But it's always very awkward.
Yeah, I think my best experience I've ever had of that is because when I was a kid, I used to. Do you remember the Fighting Fantasy game books?
Yeah, of course.
There was that. They were just a colossal part of my growing up. I mean, they were probably the books that got me reading. And I met Ian Livingstone at a convention a few years ago, and it was I had to go up and say something to him, and I said to him, like, "I'm a professional writer now, and I wouldn't. Everything you've done has been so blah blah blah," and all the kind of usual flannel. And I said, "I'm sure you hear this all the time." And he just looks at me and he says, and he just went, "I never get tired of hearing it. Thank you." And I was like, "Oh my God, that's just the perfect thing you could have said to me."
That's awesome.
And off he went. But yeah, that was really cool. But yeah, it's so tough. You just kind of want to. Another one. I was at a convention in Birmingham, and I think this was Ray Harryhausen was there, and he had a book out, and I think he was kind of in a lull in signing, and my wife was looking at something else, and I looked over my shoulder, and I just saw Ray Harryhausen sit down, and he just kind of and I obviously did a double take because he just kind of smiled and nodded at me as if to say, "It's all right, how you doing?" And that was just another absolutely magical moment. Like, oh my God, Ray Harryhausen, these are the 20 years of these movies I've kind of worshipped, and how can I communicate that experience to you in one kind of, it's so difficult. It's so difficult.
Well, and from the other side of it, I have a feeling that they have the same awkwardness, and they also have those same experiences. Because we've met people that have said, you meet them a few years later, and they're like, "Oh yeah, that moment when we met, I remember that look on your face." And you're like, "Wait, you remember me?" You know? So I think it goes both ways. As long as I don't know. Some people are very eloquent with it. I'm certainly not.
I'm terrible at it. Absolutely terrible. I need about a good hour to have written something that I'm going to say because I'm just so terrible at saying things on the fly, as you can probably tell from this podcast.
I was going to say it's the opposite. You're very verbose. You've been talking for an hour with me, and it's been all great. So, hey, you know what, Alec? I'm going to end this here. Thank you so much for being on.
Thank you so much for having me, Rob. It's been brilliant.
And I'm encouraging everybody out there, check out his website, check out alecworley.com. Definitely read the Halloween book that's coming out in October. We know it's going to come out. We'll put links to your social media, to your website, and everything in the show notes. I just can't encourage people enough to check out your stuff because it is really fantastic. And I got to tell you, on a personal note, I have had nothing to do with Warhammer, but after our discussion, I'm definitely checking Warhammer out.
Okay. Thank you so much, Rob. Thanks so much for having me.
You can find Alley Chats on Facebook by searching for @AlleyChats. You can also visit us at our webpage, smgpods.com/AlleyChats, for links to all our episodes and other cool stuff. One easy way to support our show is to rate and review Alley Chats wherever you listen to your podcasts. Those ratings really help us out and help others find our show as well. Alley Chats is produced and edited by Rob Southgate for Southgate Media Group. Be sure to subscribe to Alley Chats because you definitely don't want to miss an episode. Thanks again to our affiliate sponsors, Hunt-A-Killer and Tweaked Audio. Links to them are on our webpage and in the show notes. This wouldn't be possible without them. Our theme song is by Benny and the No Goods. Check out their awesome music at bennyandthenogoods.bandcamp.com. If you're an artist or writer or creative type that would have a table at an artist alley and would like to be on Alley Chats, message us through the Facebook page or email us directly at southgatemediagroup@gmail.com and we'll set up an interview. Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll be back tomorrow with another fantastic show.